Introduction to Literary Language and Style. In the realm of literature, language transcends its fundamental role as a vehicle for communication. It becomes an art form, where each word, phrase, and stylistic choice contributes to the creation of a rich tapestry that shapes the reader's experience. Understanding literary language and style is akin to examining the brushstrokes on a canvas. It reveals the deliberate craftsmanship behind a text's creation. This chapter delves into how authors use language and stylistic devices to infuse their narratives with meaning, emotion, and nuance. At its core, literary language is distinguished by its intentionality and complexity. Unlike everyday conversation, where clarity and directness are often prioritized, literary language is designed to evoke deeper layers of meaning and emotional resonance. Writers carefully select words not only for their literal meaning but also for their connotations and their capacity to create vivid imagery. This deliberate choice of language transforms a simple narrative into a multidimensional experience, where each element contributes to the overall effect. Style, on the other hand, refers to the unique manner in which an author employs language to convey their narrative. It encompasses a range of elements including diction, word choice, syntax, sentence structure, tone, and the use of stylistic devices such as imagery, metaphor, and simile. The style of a text is like a fingerprint, distinct to each author, and it plays a crucial role in shaping the reader's perception and interpretation of the narrative. One of the most significant aspects of literary language is its ability to create imagery. Imagery involves the use of descriptive language that appeals to the senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. This sensory engagement helps readers to visualize scenes, hear sounds, and even feel emotions as if they were experiencing the narrative firsthand. For example, in a poem, a writer might use vivid descriptions of a landscape to transport readers to that setting, making them feel as though they are walking through a sunlit meadow or standing in a storm's path. Metaphors and similes further enhance the richness of literary language. A metaphor is a figure of speech that directly equates one thing with another, suggesting a symbolic connection between them. For instance, describing a character's emotions as a stormy sea conveys not just the intensity of their feelings, but also suggests the turbulence and unpredictability of their inner state. Similes, which use like or as to draw comparisons, add another layer of vividness. A simile such as "her laughter was like a melody" creates a specific, relatable image that helps readers understand the nature of the laughter and its effect on the narrator or characters. Personification, the attribution of human characteristics to non-human entities, is another powerful stylistic device. By giving human traits to objects or abstract concepts, authors can make them more relatable and imbue them with symbolic significance. For example, describing the wind as whispering secrets gives it an element of mystery and intimacy that enhances the mood and atmosphere of the narrative. Ultimately, every choice an author makes regarding language and style contributes to the tone and mood of a text. Tone refers to the author's attitude toward the subject matter, which can range from playful and humorous to serious and somber. Mood, on the other hand, is the emotional atmosphere created for the reader, which can evoke feelings of joy, sadness, tension, or tranquility. In summary, literary language and style are essential components of a text's artistry. They transform simple words into powerful tools that shape the reader's emotional and intellectual response. By exploring how authors use these elements, we gain a deeper appreciation for the intricate craft of writing and the profound impact it has on our engagement with literature. The palette of stylistic devices, an exploration. Literary language is rich with stylistic devices that serve as the author's palette, allowing them to create a nuanced and evocative narrative. These devices are not mere embellishments, but integral tools that shape the reader's perception and engagement with the text. Each stylistic choice adds a layer of meaning, emotion, or imagery, enhancing the overall impact of the literary work. This section will explore key stylistic devices, including imagery, metaphor, simile, and personification, highlighting their functions and effects. Imagery, painting with words. Imagery is a fundamental device in literature that appeals to the senses, creating vivid mental pictures for the reader. It involves the use of descriptive language to evoke sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and textures, thereby immersing readers in the sensory experience of the narrative. For instance, in a passage describing a summer afternoon, a writer might use imagery to depict the golden sunlight filtering through the dense canopy of leaves, casting a dappled pattern on the forest floor. Such descriptions allow readers to almost feel the warmth and visualize the scene as if they were there. Imagery helps in creating a vivid setting, developing characters, and evoking emotions, making it a crucial element in the reader's engagement with the text. Metaphor, the power of comparison. Metaphor is a stylistic device that draws a direct comparison between two seemingly unrelated things, suggesting a symbolic connection between them. Unlike similes, which use like or as, metaphors assert that one thing is another. For example, describing a troubled period in someone's life as a stormy sea not only conveys the tumultuous nature of their experiences, but also enriches the reader's understanding by associating their struggles with the chaos and unpredictability of a storm. Metaphors can encapsulate complex ideas and emotions in a single, powerful image, offering new perspectives and insights into the narrative. Simile, adding layers with like and as. Similes are similar to metaphors in that they make comparisons, but they do so explicitly using the words like or as. This device adds a layer of vividness to the description and helps readers visualize concepts more concretely. For instance, saying, "Her smile was as bright as the morning sun," creates a clear and relatable image that highlights the warmth and cheerfulness of the character's expression. Similes can enhance descriptions, develop characters, and convey emotions by making comparisons that resonate with the reader's own experiences. Personification, breathing life into the inanimate. Personification involves giving human attributes to non-human entities, thereby making abstract concepts or inanimate objects more relatable and vivid. By attributing human characteristics to something that is not human, authors can convey complex ideas and emotions in an accessible manner. For example, describing the wind as whispering through the trees endows it with a sense of agency and intimacy, which can create a more engaging and atmospheric setting. Personification can also imbue natural elements or abstract concepts with symbolic significance, enhancing the thematic depth of the narrative. The role of stylistic devices in crafting tone and mood. Each stylistic device contributes to the overall tone and mood of a text. Tone refers to the author's attitude toward the subject matter, which can range from joyful and optimistic to somber and critical. Through the careful use of stylistic devices, such as dark imagery or hopeful metaphors, authors establish the tone that guides the reader's emotional response. Mood, on the other hand, is the emotional atmosphere that the text creates for the reader. The mood can be shaped by the imagery, tone, and other stylistic choices, creating a specific emotional landscape that enhances the reader's engagement with the narrative. In summary, the stylistic devices of imagery, metaphor, simile, and personification are crucial elements of literary language. They function as the tools with which authors craft their narratives, adding depth, richness, and emotional resonance. By examining these devices, we gain a deeper appreciation of how literature uses language to create a compelling and immersive reading experience. Each device plays a specific role in shaping the reader's understanding and emotional response, making them essential components in the artistry of literature. Imagery, painting with words. Imagery, a cornerstone of literary art, involves crafting vivid and evocative descriptions that appeal to the senses, creating rich mental pictures that transport readers into the world of the text. Through imagery, authors engage readers on a sensory level, enhancing their emotional and psychological experience of the narrative. This section explores how imagery functions in literature, its impact on readers, and how it contributes to the overall texture of a text. The essence of imagery. At its core, imagery is about more than just visual descriptions. It encompasses the entire sensory experience, including sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. By engaging these senses, imagery helps to create a more immersive and dynamic reading experience. For example, consider a scene in which an author describes a bustling marketplace, the clamor of vendors shouting their wares mingled with the rich, spicy aroma of freshly ground coffee, while the warmth of the sun pressed down on the crowded cobblestone streets. Here, the imagery appeals to the auditory sense, the clamor of vendors, the olfactory sense, the aroma of coffee, and the tactile sense, the warmth of the sun, providing a multifaceted depiction of the scene. Creating atmosphere and mood. Imagery plays a crucial role in establishing the atmosphere and mood of a narrative. Through detailed sensory descriptions, authors can evoke specific emotional responses in readers. For instance, in a Gothic novel, a description of a desolate, crumbling mansion might include phrases like, "The eerie silence that hung in the air was broken only by the occasional creak of rotting floorboards, while the cold, damp walls seemed to absorb the light." This imagery creates a mood of foreboding and unease, setting the stage for a suspenseful or horror-driven plot. In contrast, positive imagery can generate a mood of warmth and joy. For example, a passage describing a family picnic might evoke a scene with the laughter of children as they chased each other across the sunlit meadow, the sweet scent of blooming flowers, and the taste of freshly baked pie. Such imagery not only paints a vivid picture but also infuses the narrative with a sense of happiness and contentment. Developing characters and setting. Imagery is also instrumental in developing characters and settings. Through descriptive language, authors can reveal character traits and establish the context of the story. For example, a character described as with eyes as sharp as the winter's frost and a voice like the crackle of dry leaves might be depicted as stern and perceptive. Similarly, a setting described with the towering, ancient trees with gnarled branches stretching out like skeletal fingers conveys a sense of age and mystery, enhancing the reader's understanding of the environment. Symbolism and theme. Imagery can also serve symbolic and thematic functions in a text. Objects, colors, and settings described in specific ways often carry symbolic weight, contributing to the text's underlying themes. For example, the recurring imagery of a decaying house might symbolize the decline of a character's moral or psychological state. In this way, imagery does not just create a vivid picture but also deepens the reader's engagement with the text's broader themes and messages. Crafting imagery in different genres. Different genres utilize imagery in unique ways to achieve their specific goals. In poetry, for example, imagery is often more concentrated and symbolic, using minimal language to evoke complex feelings and ideas. In contrast, in prose fiction, imagery might be more detailed and extensive, creating elaborate scenes that build the narrative world. In each case, however, the goal remains the same: to engage the reader's senses and imagination, making the text come alive in the mind. Conclusion. Imagery is a powerful tool in the writer's arsenal, transforming abstract concepts and emotions into tangible, sensory experiences. By appealing to the senses and creating vivid mental pictures, imagery enhances the reader's immersion in the narrative, establishes mood and atmosphere, develops characters and settings, and supports thematic depth. Through the careful use of imagery, authors craft rich, multi-dimensional worlds that resonate with readers, making literature a deeply engaging and emotionally rich experience. Metaphor, the power of comparison. Metaphor is one of the most powerful and versatile stylistic devices in literature, enabling authors to convey complex ideas and emotions through symbolic comparisons. Unlike similes, which use like, or, as, to draw parallels between two different things, metaphors assert that one thing is another, creating a direct and often surprising connection between disparate elements. This section explores how metaphors function in literature, their impact on readers, and their role in enriching narrative depth. Understanding metaphor. A metaphor operates by identifying one thing with another, suggesting that they share some essential quality or characteristic. For instance, when Shakespeare writes, "All the world's a stage," he is not implying that the world is literally a stage, but rather that life and human experience can be understood in terms of a theatrical performance. This comparison invites readers to reflect on their own lives as performances, with roles, scenes, and acts. The metaphor thus provides a fresh perspective on the nature of existence and human behavior. Enhancing descriptive power. Metaphors enhance descriptive power by providing vivid, imaginative ways to convey experiences and emotions. They allow authors to express abstract concepts in tangible terms, making complex or intangible ideas more accessible and relatable. For example, describing a person's anger as a roaring inferno not only conveys the intensity of the emotion but also evokes a powerful image of destructive heat and force. This metaphor helps readers understand the overwhelming nature of the anger and its potential impact. Creating symbolic meanings. Metaphors often carry symbolic meanings that add layers of depth to a text. They can encapsulate themes and provide insight into characters and situations. For example, in George Orwell's Animal Farm, the farm itself serves as a metaphor for a totalitarian regime, with different animals representing various social and political groups. This metaphorical framework allows Orwell to critique political corruption and authoritarianism in a way that is both engaging and thought-provoking. By using metaphor, Orwell transforms a simple story about farm animals into a powerful allegory about human society. Unveiling emotional states. Metaphors are particularly effective at unveiling emotional states and inner experiences. By comparing emotions to physical phenomena or tangible objects, authors can convey feelings with greater nuance and intensity. For instance, describing a character's heartbreak as a shattered mirror communicates the sense of fragmented self and disillusionment. This metaphor captures the emotional devastation in a way that is immediate and evocative, allowing readers to empathize deeply with the character's plight. Exploring metaphor in different genres. Metaphors function differently across various genres, tailored to the needs of the narrative and the author's style. In poetry, metaphors are often compact and layered, providing rich, concentrated meanings in a few words. For example, in Sylvia Plath's poem, Lady Lazarus, the metaphor of resurrection is used to explore themes of rebirth and defiance. In prose fiction, metaphors can be more extended and woven throughout the narrative, contributing to character development and plot progression. For instance, in Herman Melville's Moby Dick, the white whale is a multifaceted metaphor for obsession, fate, and the unknown, central to the novel's thematic exploration. Metaphor and reader engagement. The use of metaphor enhances reader engagement by inviting them to actively interpret and connect ideas. Metaphors challenge readers to think beyond the literal and explore the underlying meanings, fostering a deeper interaction with the text. This interpretive engagement enriches the reading experience as readers uncover the layers of significance embedded in the metaphorical language. Crafting effective metaphors. Crafting effective metaphors requires creativity and precision. A well-chosen metaphor should be original, relevant, and resonant with the themes and tone of the text. It should illuminate the subject matter rather than obscure it, providing clarity through imaginative comparison. Authors must balance the metaphor's complexity with its accessibility to ensure that it enhances rather than detracts from the reader's understanding. Conclusion. Metaphor is a potent literary device that enriches texts by offering symbolic insights, enhancing descriptive power, and unveiling emotional depths. Through imaginative comparisons, metaphors transform abstract concepts into vivid images, engage readers on a deeper level, and contribute to the thematic richness of a narrative. By exploring the art of metaphor, we gain a greater appreciation for the ways in which authors use language to craft compelling and thought-provoking literature. Simile. Adding layers with like and as. Simile is a literary device that enriches language by drawing explicit comparisons between two different things using the words like or as. While similar to metaphors in their comparative function, similes differ in that they explicitly state the comparison, providing clarity and often adding a layer of vividness and relatability. This section explores the role of similes in literature, their effects on readers, and their contribution to the overall richness of a text. Defining simile. A simile is a figure of speech that directly compares two unlike things by using like or as to highlight similarities between them. For instance, when an author describes a character's laugh as like a burst of laughter in a quiet room, the simile creates a clear and relatable image of the character's mirth. This comparison helps readers visualize the character's emotional expression and understand its impact on the surrounding environment. Enhancing descriptive imagery. Similes enhance descriptive imagery by providing readers with tangible, concrete comparisons that evoke strong visual or sensory impressions. For example, in describing a stormy sky, a writer might say, "The clouds rolled in like dark, heavy blankets, threatening to smother the landscape." This simile helps readers visualize the oppressive and overwhelming nature of the approaching storm, making the scene more vivid and impactful. Similes can also evoke sensory experiences beyond the visual. For example, "Her voice was as smooth as velvet" provides a tactile comparison that helps readers imagine the soft and pleasant quality of the character's speech. Such comparisons can make descriptions more engaging and memorable, adding depth to the narrative. Conveying emotions and character traits. Similes are particularly effective in conveying emotions and character traits, offering insight into how characters experience and express their feelings. For instance, describing a character's anxiety as like a swarm of bees buzzing restlessly inside their chest captures the intensity and discomfort of the emotion, allowing readers to empathize with the character's internal struggle. Similarly, comparing a character's determination to a bulldog's grip emphasizes their tenacity and persistence. By using similes to illustrate emotions and traits, authors can create more nuanced and relatable characters. Similes provide a way to convey complex emotional states in a way that readers can easily understand and connect with, enhancing the depth and authenticity of the characters. Exploring simile in different genres. Similes function differently across various genres, tailored to the specific needs of the narrative and the author's style. In poetry, similes are often used to create striking and imaginative imagery, adding layers of meaning and emotion to a few carefully chosen words. For example, in a poem about love, a simile such as "her smile was like a sunrise, warming the coldest of hearts" creates a powerful and evocative image that captures the transformative effect of the character's smile. In prose fiction, similes can be used to build settings, develop characters, and convey mood. For instance, in a mystery novel, a description of a dark, foggy alley as like a shroud of secrecy not only sets the tone for the scene but also hints at the hidden dangers and mysteries within. Similes in prose can help readers visualize the narrative world and understand the underlying themes and tensions. Simile and reader engagement. Similes enhance reader engagement by making descriptions more vivid and relatable. By drawing explicit comparisons, similes help readers form clear mental images and connect emotionally with the text. This engagement fosters a deeper immersion in the narrative, as readers visualize and experience the scenes, characters, and emotions described. Crafting effective similes. Crafting effective similes requires creativity and precision. A well-chosen simile should be original, relevant to the context, and resonate with the reader's experiences. It should enhance the description rather than complicate it, providing clarity and vividness. Authors must strike a balance between creativity and clarity to ensure that the simile enriches the narrative and contributes to the overall impact of the text. Conclusion. Similes are a valuable literary device that enhances language by providing clear, vivid comparisons. By drawing explicit connections between disparate elements, similes enrich descriptive imagery, convey emotions, and develop characters. Through the use of similes, authors create engaging and relatable narratives that captivate readers and deepen their connection to the text. Understanding and appreciating the role of similes in literature allows readers to fully engage with the richness and creativity of literary expression. Personification, breathing life into the inanimate. Personification is a literary device that endows non-human entities with human attributes, emotions, or actions, making abstract concepts and inanimate objects more relatable and vivid. By assigning human characteristics to the non-human, personification bridges the gap between the reader's experiences and the world of the text, creating a more engaging and immersive reading experience. This section explores the role of personification in literature, its effects on readers, and its contribution to thematic depth and narrative impact. Understanding personification. Personification involves attributing human qualities to things that are not human, such as objects, animals, or abstract ideas. This device allows authors to animate the inanimate, giving it life and personality. For instance, describing the wind as whispering through the trees endows the wind with the human action of whispering, which conveys a sense of intimacy and mystery. This not only creates a more vivid and engaging image, but also imbues the natural world with emotional resonance. Creating vivid imagery. Personification enhances descriptive imagery by transforming abstract or lifeless elements into dynamic and relatable entities. For example, in a description of a decaying house, the author might write, "The house groaned under the weight of its years, its sagging roof bowing in defeat." Here, the house is personified with human attributes such as groaning and bowing, which vividly conveys its dilapidated state and evokes a sense of weariness and resignation. Such personification helps readers visualize and emotionally connect with the setting in a more immediate and impactful way. Conveying emotions and themes. Personification is particularly effective in conveying emotions and themes, providing a way to explore complex or abstract ideas through relatable imagery. For example, describing hope as a flickering candle in the dark personifies hope as a fragile and enduring source of light, which can evoke feelings of perseverance and optimism. Similarly, depicting time as a relentless thief, stealing moments from our lives, conveys the theme of loss and the inexorable passage of time in a tangible and emotionally resonant manner. In literature, personification can also deepen thematic exploration by bringing abstract concepts to life. In Emily Dickinson's poem, Because I Could Not Stop for Death, death is personified as a courteous suitor who takes the speaker on a carriage ride. This personification transforms death from an abstract concept into a character with whom the speaker interacts, allowing Dickinson to explore themes of mortality and the passage of time in a more concrete and relatable way. Developing characters and settings. Personification can also be used to develop characters and settings, adding depth and personality to both. For instance, in a story about a lonely old man who finds solace in his garden, the author might personify the garden as a loyal companion, waiting patiently to hear his stories. This personification not only highlights the man's connection to the garden, but also emphasizes the emotional significance of the setting in his life. By giving human traits to the garden, the author enriches the reader's understanding of the character's emotional world and the role of the setting in the narrative. Exploring personification across genres. Personification is employed differently across genres, tailored to the specific needs of the narrative. In children's literature, personification often brings objects and animals to life in imaginative ways, making the stories more engaging and relatable for young readers. For example, in A. Milne's Winnie the Pooh, the characters are personified animals with human traits, which makes their adventures and interactions charming and accessible. In poetry, personification is frequently used to imbue nature and abstract concepts with emotional depth and symbolic meaning. For instance, in William Wordsworth's Lines Composed a Few Miles Above Tintern Abbey, nature is personified as a nurturing and comforting presence that provides solace and inspiration to the poet. Crafting effective personification. Crafting effective personification requires creativity and subtlety. The personification should be relevant to the context, enhancing the reader's understanding and emotional connection without overshadowing the narrative. It should also be original and resonate with the themes of the text, providing a fresh perspective on the elements being personified. Conclusion. Personification is a powerful literary device that breathes life into the inanimate, making abstract concepts and non-human elements more relatable and vivid. By attributing human characteristics to objects, animals, or ideas, authors create rich imagery, convey emotions, and deepen thematic exploration. Through personification, literature transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, engaging readers in a more immersive and emotionally resonant experience. Understanding and appreciating the role of personification enhances our ability to connect with and interpret the nuances of literary expression. Tone, mood, and meaning. Language's contribution. Language in literature is not merely a vehicle for storytelling, it is a crucial tool that shapes the tone, mood, and overall meaning of a text. Through deliberate choices in language and style, authors craft an emotional landscape that influences how readers perceive and interpret the narrative. This section explores how stylistic devices contribute to tone, mood, and meaning, enhancing the reader's engagement and understanding of the text. Understanding tone. Tone refers to the author's attitude or emotional stance toward the subject matter. It is conveyed through various elements of language, including diction, syntax, and stylistic devices. Tone can range from humorous and lighthearted to serious and somber, depending on the author's intention and the context of the narrative. For instance, in Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, the tone is often ironic and satirical, particularly when Austen critiques social norms and characters. The use of witty and playful language underscores the satirical tone, allowing readers to engage with the social commentary on a more reflective level. The choice of stylistic devices, such as metaphors or imagery, can significantly influence the tone. For example, describing a scene with dark, ominous imagery, such as the sky was a shroud of storm clouds and the wind howled like a banshee, creates a tone of foreboding and tension. Conversely, light and cheerful descriptions, like the sun-drenched meadow sparkled with the laughter of children, establish a tone of joy and contentment. Creating mood. Mood refers to the emotional atmosphere that the text creates for the reader. It is shaped by the language, setting, and stylistic choices employed by the author. Mood influences how readers feel as they read, and it plays a crucial role in their overall experience of the narrative. For instance, in Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, the mood is melancholic and eerie, established through the use of dark imagery, mournful tone, and the repetitive refrain, "Nevermore." These elements work together to create a sense of despair and haunting reflection. Stylistic devices like personification and simile also contribute to the creation of mood. For example, describing a stormy night with personified elements, the thunder grumbled in the distance, and the rain pounded angrily against the windows, evokes a mood of tension and unease. Similes, such as "the room was as cold as a tomb," further amplify the mood by providing relatable and vivid comparisons, contributing to overall meaning. Language and stylistic devices contribute to the overall meaning of a text by adding layers of interpretation and insight. Metaphors, similes, and imagery often serve to underscore themes and messages, offering readers deeper understanding and reflection. For example, in George Orwell's 1984, the metaphor of Big Brother as an omnipresent, oppressive figure symbolizes the totalitarian surveillance state and the loss of individual freedom. This metaphor enriches the meaning of the text by highlighting the dangers of authoritarianism and the erosion of personal privacy. Imagery and symbolism can also enhance the thematic depth of a narrative. In F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, the green light at the end of Daisy's dock symbolizes Gatsby's unattainable dreams and the illusory nature of the American dream. The recurring imagery of the green light serves to reinforce the novel's themes of aspiration, disillusionment, and the pursuit of happiness. Analyzing language's impact. To fully appreciate the impact of language on tone, mood, and meaning, readers must engage in close analysis of the text. This involves examining how stylistic choices influence the emotional and thematic aspects of the narrative. By identifying the use of specific devices, such as the somber tone created by dark imagery or the hopeful mood conveyed through uplifting similes, readers can gain a deeper understanding of the author's intent and the text's overall significance. Conclusion. Language is a powerful tool in literature, shaping the tone, mood, and meaning of a text through deliberate stylistic choices. By analyzing how authors use diction, imagery, metaphors, and other devices, readers gain insight into the emotional landscape and thematic depth of the narrative. Understanding the interplay between language and literary elements enhances the reading experience, allowing for a richer and more nuanced engagement with the text. Through the careful examination of tone, mood, and meaning, readers can appreciate the artistry of language and its profound impact on literary expression. Artistry in action. Close examination of excerpts. To fully appreciate the impact of stylistic devices like imagery, metaphor, simile, and personification, it's crucial to engage in close examination of literary excerpts. This hands-on approach allows us to see how these devices function in practice and how they contribute to the tone, mood, and meaning of a text. In this section, we will explore how these devices are employed in different literary genres, providing examples and analyses to illustrate their effects. Imagery in poetry. Poetry often relies heavily on imagery to evoke emotions and create vivid scenes. Consider Robert Frost's poem, The Road Not Taken. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And, be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Frost's use of imagery here paints a clear picture of a crossroads in a yellow wood, which symbolizes a moment of decision. The imagery of the diverging roads and the undergrowth provides a tangible representation of the choices and uncertainties faced by the speaker. This sensory detail immerses the reader in the speaker's dilemma, enhancing the poem's exploration of decision-making and its consequences. Metaphor and simile in prose. In prose fiction, metaphors and similes can add depth to character development and narrative themes. Take a look at an excerpt from F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. The sky was a violet haze, and the city's lights glowed like 1,000 fireflies, flickering and fading as the night wore on. The metaphor here compares the city's lights to 1,000 fireflies, creating a sense of both wonder and transience. This vivid imagery not only paints a picture of the setting but also reflects the ephemeral nature of Gatsby's dreams and the fleeting quality of the Jazz Age's opulence. The comparison invites readers to see the city through the narrator's eyes, deepening their understanding of the novel's themes of illusion and reality. Personification in descriptive writing. Personification can breathe life into settings and objects, enhancing their emotional resonance. Consider this excerpt from Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. The fire was a great roaring beast, its flames leaping and cavorting as if celebrating their freedom from the constraints of wood and brick. Here, Bradbury personifies the fire as a roaring beast that leaps and cavorts, imbuing it with a sense of wildness and vitality. This personification not only conveys the destructive power of the fire, but also reflects the novel's themes of destruction and rebirth. By giving the fire human characteristics, Bradbury intensifies the emotional impact of the scene and underscores the fire's role as a symbol of societal change. Analyzing effects and authorial intent. To analyze the effects of these stylistic devices, consider how they influence tone, mood, and meaning. For example, in Frost's poem, the imagery of the roads and the wood creates a contemplative mood, inviting readers to reflect on the nature of choice and its consequences. The metaphor of the diverging roads emphasizes the significance of decisions in shaping our lives. In Fitzgerald's excerpt, the simile of the city's lights as fireflies contributes to a tone of melancholy and disillusionment, highlighting the impermanence of Gatsby's dreams. The vivid imagery evokes a sense of nostalgia and the transient nature of the era's glamour. Bradbury's personification of the fire as a beast adds intensity to the scene, making the destruction feel more immediate and visceral. This choice reflects the novel's exploration of the conflict between conformity and individualism, emphasizing the fire's role as an agent of change. Creating connections. Drawing connections between language and thematic elements helps readers appreciate how stylistic devices support the text's broader messages. For instance, the use of imagery in Frost's poem aligns with the theme of choice and its impact on the individual's journey. Similarly, the metaphor in The Great Gatsby enhances the theme of the American dream's fleeting nature, while personification in Fahrenheit 451 underscores the novel's critique of censorship and societal control. Conclusion. Close examination of literary excerpts reveals the artistry behind language and stylistic devices. By analyzing how imagery, metaphor, simile, and personification are used to shape tone, mood, and meaning, readers gain a deeper appreciation for the craft of writing. This approach not only enhances our understanding of individual texts, but also enriches our overall experience of literature, allowing us to engage more fully with the creative power of language. Through careful analysis, we uncover the layers of meaning woven into the fabric of literary works, appreciating the skill and artistry that bring them to life. Experiential discovery, analysis, and reflection. Engaging deeply with literary excerpts through analysis and reflection allows readers to uncover the nuanced effects of stylistic devices on tone, mood, and meaning. This section delves into the process of analyzing the impact of language choices, reflecting on authorial intent, and making connections between stylistic elements and thematic content. By approaching texts with a critical eye, readers can gain a richer understanding of how literary devices contribute to the overall narrative. Analyzing effects. The first step in analyzing literary excerpts is identifying the use of stylistic devices and examining their effects on the text. For example, consider an excerpt from William Blake's poem, The Tiger. Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry. In this passage, Blake employs vivid imagery and powerful metaphor. The burning bright tiger is not just a literal creature, but a symbol of awe and fear. The imagery of the tiger in the forests of the night creates a striking contrast between the light and dark, suggesting the dual nature of creation and the sublime. By analyzing these stylistic choices, we can see how Blake's language evokes a sense of mystery and reverence, enhancing the poem's exploration of creation and the divine. Reflecting on authorial intent. Reflecting on authorial intent involves considering why an author chose specific stylistic devices and what effect they aimed to achieve. For instance, in the case of Blake's The Tiger, the use of intense imagery and metaphor likely serves to provoke contemplation about the nature of creation and the presence of evil or divinity in the world. The poem's fierce and enigmatic imagery reflects Blake's exploration of the tension between beauty and terror, challenging readers to grapple with profound questions about existence and the divine. Authorial intent can often be discerned through an examination of the text's broader context and themes. For example, understanding that Blake was influenced by the Romantic movement's fascination with the sublime helps us appreciate why he employs grand and fearsome imagery. Reflecting on these choices provides insight into the deeper meanings the author seeks to convey. Creating connections. Creating connections between language and thematic elements involves linking stylistic devices to the text's larger messages. For example, in Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart, the narrator's description of the heartbeat as a low, dull, quick sound personifies the sound as an embodiment of guilt and paranoia. This personification enhances the story's exploration of the narrator's descent into madness, linking the auditory imagery to the theme of psychological torment. By connecting these stylistic choices to the story's themes, readers can gain a deeper understanding of how language shapes and reflects the narrative's central concerns. Similarly, in To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, the use of simile and metaphor, such as describing the town's racial tensions as a slow, grinding engine of prejudice, helps readers grasp the pervasive and insidious nature of racism. The simile provides a concrete image of the slow and relentless process of racial injustice, deepening the reader's understanding of the novel's social critique. Applying analysis to personal reading. Applying analysis to personal reading involves using these techniques to engage more deeply with texts. When approaching a new literary work, readers can identify and reflect on the stylistic devices used by the author, considering how they contribute to tone, mood, and meaning. By analyzing how imagery, metaphor, simile, and personification function within the narrative, readers can uncover the layers of meaning and gain a more nuanced appreciation of the text. Conclusion. Experiential discovery through analysis and reflection enhances our understanding of literary works by revealing the impact of stylistic devices on tone, mood, and meaning. By identifying the use of imagery, metaphor, simile, and personification, and reflecting on authorial intent and thematic connections, readers gain deeper insights into the craft of writing and the richness of the text. This process not only enriches our engagement with literature but also fosters a greater appreciation for the artistry of language and its role in shaping our reading experience. Through careful analysis and reflection, we uncover the layers of meaning that make literature a profound and transformative art form. Conclusion: the symphony of words. As we conclude our exploration of language and style in literature, we arrive at a deeper appreciation for the artistry of words. The journey through stylistic devices, imagery, metaphor, simile, and personification reveals how these elements contribute to the overall fabric of a text, shaping tone, mood, and meaning. Understanding these devices enhances our ability to engage with literature more profoundly and appreciate the nuanced ways in which authors communicate their ideas. the tapestry of literary craft. Literature is akin to a tapestry woven from threads of language. Each stylistic device represents a unique thread that adds texture, color, and depth to the narrative. Imagery paints vivid pictures that immerse readers in the sensory world of the text. Metaphors and similes provide fresh perspectives and enrich descriptions by comparing disparate elements. Personification breathes life into the inanimate and abstract, making concepts and objects more relatable and emotionally charged. Together, these devices create a rich and multi-layered literary experience. For example, in Shakespeare's Macbeth, the use of imagery and metaphor is pivotal in conveying the psychological turmoil of the characters. The recurring imagery of blood, such as out, brief candle, life's but a walking shadow, symbolizes guilt and the transient nature of life. This metaphor not only underscores Macbeth's sense of futility, but also reflects the play's themes of ambition, power, and moral decay. The combination of these devices weaves a complex narrative that resonates with readers on multiple levels. Crafting emotional resonance. One of the primary roles of stylistic devices is to craft emotional resonance. Through deliberate language choices, authors evoke specific feelings and atmospheres that align with the text's themes and messages. For instance, in the poem The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, the repeated refrain, "Nevermore," and the dark, melancholic imagery create an atmosphere of despair and hopelessness. The emotional impact of the poem is heightened by these stylistic choices, allowing readers to experience the narrator's grief and obsession more acutely. Similarly, in J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series, the use of simile and metaphor helps to create a magical and immersive world. Descriptions of magical creatures and spells, such as a Patronus that shone like a silvery shield, not only enhance the fantastical elements of the story, but also evoke feelings of wonder and excitement. The vivid language draws readers into the enchanting world of Hogwarts, deepening their emotional connection to the narrative. Unlocking meaning. Stylistic devices are also key to unlocking deeper meanings within a text. By analyzing how authors use language to convey themes and messages, readers gain insight into the underlying significance of the narrative. For example, in George Orwell's 1984, the metaphor of Big Brother as an omnipresent figure of surveillance symbolizes the oppressive nature of totalitarian regimes. This metaphor enriches the text's exploration of themes related to power, control, and individual freedom. The use of personification in The Great Gatsby, where the green light symbolizes Gatsby's unattainable dreams, provides a poignant commentary on the nature of aspiration and the American dream. The green light's personification as a distant beacon of hope reflects the novel's themes of illusion and disillusionment, offering readers a deeper understanding of the protagonist's struggles and desires. Appreciating the symphony. As we reflect on the role of language and style, it becomes clear that literature is a symphony of words. Each stylistic device contributes to the harmony of the narrative, creating a cohesive and resonant whole. Understanding how imagery, metaphor, simile, and personification function within a text allows readers to appreciate the complexity and beauty of literary expression. By approaching literature with a keen awareness of these devices, readers become more discerning and engaged participants in the reading experience. We learn to listen for the subtleties of tone, mood, and meaning, and to appreciate the skill with which authors craft their stories. This awareness enriches our enjoyment of literature and deepens our understanding of its power to evoke, inspire, and transform. Conclusion. The exploration of language and style in literature reveals the profound impact of stylistic devices on the reading experience. Through imagery, metaphor, simile, and personification, authors create vivid, emotionally resonant, and meaningful narratives. As readers, we become attuned to the symphony of words, appreciating the artistry and craft behind literary works. Armed with this understanding, we approach literature with a deeper appreciation for the power of language and its ability to shape our perception of the world.